They're too weak to survive. Rack's up my sleeve. A titanic takedown.
Brilliant work, Vault Hunter. That ass kicking will make Maliwan think twice before they come at us again.
What's up? It's your boy Dick. I'm back in here again. So I just wanted to go ahead and let this thing run in the background so I can go ahead and show you guys that this is the Maliwan Takedown True Takedown mode. Throughout the video, you'll end up seeing clips, and these clips are going to be from the lower takedown, so that way you guys can see how it functions in there. And then at the end of the video, we have a full run of the True Takedown mode, scaled up to 4 people, Maliwan Takedown. And we ran through that bad boy solo. Put it at the end, so that way you guys can see it in its entirety and see how the build functions, be able to get a better idea of how to play it inside of the hardest content inside the game, and be able to mess around with it and enjoy the build as much as Ratore and I actually do. So this is the build. Hawk Pack Flak, the update, one of our best grenade flak builds, and game save, we're going to have that's going to get updated over time with some of the new stuff for level 53. The build video itself is only 12 minutes, but the rest of it is the run, so it might look like it is a little bit longer. So let's hop into the real video. The core of this build revolves around utilizing the Unforgiven and applying that 432% critical hit damage to your different grenades that you have. The grenades that can actually crit, at least some of them, are going to be something like your Hunter Seeker, your Hex, as well as your Red Queen. There are a couple others that can actually crit if they end up hitting that crit spot, but the Hunter Seekers work out even better because they end up applying gun damage. They end up proccing Megavore, which is going to allow you to get even more crits, which is going to proc your Leave No Trace, which is going to give you back ammo, and Head Count, which is going to give you back cooldown, which means that you're going to be able to spam even more racks. So it's fantastic for the setup. One big thing about the Hunter Seekers, though, is that they are gun damage, but they do not end up scaling off of gun damage. A noise that you want to go ahead and look for your Unforgiven that end up applying to your Hunter Seekers are going to be Rakk Attack, are going to be Lifesteal, and then also something along the lines of the Elemental ASC for the next 2 magazines. These do end up applying to your Hunter Seekers and will allow those to get that extra elemental damage boost and work out very, very well. 100% weapon ASC does not end up working for your Hunter Seekers at all for whatever reason. So one of the big changes to the build is actually that we're running the Hive now. Hive works out phenomenally inside this build. This is something that Tyler Gardner actually ended up recommending for the setup. The Hive is fantastic because it alleviates the issue of the double shield phase of the Wotan fight, or what I like to call him, Wonton. It allows us to get inside of the Wonton shell a little bit easier. You shoot that preemptively or shoot that as soon as the little shell pops up. Preemptively is a bit better. And then you shoot those out, and you swap over to your Unforgiven. You can run around. You'll end up popping the shields. And sometimes they end up popping him a little bit afterwards, depending on your timing and depending on the crits. And it works out very, very well inside of both the scaled down as well as the scaled up Maliwan Takedown for 4-player. It is a fantastic addition to this build, and you can utilize it for not only that, but also for general mobbing. It's going to give you a nice boost in overall damage. So the 2 things that I was thinking about with the Hive in terms of annoyance is that 1, you can rock the Rakk Attack one, as long as you have another Rakk Attack gun, such as your Unforgiven. When you end up debuffing an enemy with your Hive and hitting like 6 or 7 people, when you end up swapping to your Rakk Attack Unforgiven, those same 7 people are going to keep that debuff. So that'll be the same situation if you like debuff like 8 people with your Unforgiven. When you swap back to your Hive, those same 8 people are going to be debuffed. So that's going to allow you to get very nice AoE damage on enemies and blow those up relatively smoothly. Works out very, very well. But another cool thing that Tyler Gardner and I ended up kind of like figuring out as we were talking about the Hive and kind of messing around with annoyance, and he brought it to my attention, was that you can utilize the weapon damage 100% ASC and combine that with the Rakk Attack annoyance of another gun and get both of those bonuses to layer on top of each other. Now, this is going to give you a gigantic boost in damage, and it's something that I haven't really seen or heard anybody really talk about too much, but that boost in damage that's a lot. For lack of a better phrase, that's a lot of damage. It's going to give you a whole lot of damage. And so stacking those 2 on top of each other, and then you go ahead and get the Megavore proc on your Hive, and you're just going to so happen to have out your Unforgiven, and that's going to boost up that critical hit damage by 432%. That's going to give you a big hit. That's going to be a huge hit. Not to mention that it's probably going to end up getting boosted up by Flesh Melter, and then everything else that you have. And don't let it be a robot. If it's a robot like Wotan, you're going to end up popping him. Wonton's going to turn to wonton soup. off of this hit. And it is a fantastic addition to the build. Personally, I run the weapon damage one. You can run the Rakk attack one. Beside the lower difficulties, you can get rid of the second Unforgiven. You can go ahead and rock double hive if you want to. One for burst and one for the sustain Rakk attack damage. Both work out very, very well. I haven't run into any issues with either, but I do personally like the 100% weapon damage ASC one a little bit better. So, trigger Unforgiven in the second slot. This is for the lifesteal. The Hunter-Seeker do apply lifesteal, and that's going to help you sustain a little bit better inside of those rough situations for the scaled up Maliwan Takedown for the 4-player one. And just going to allow you to get a little bit more room to play around with. Since we don't have the most amazing shield in terms of like defenses, this helps out a cool little amount. Iron Cannon, of course, Iron Cannon is going to help you get back up inside of situations where you don't have out a billion Hunter-Seekers, which is rarely. It helps out inside of those situations, but it also helps out inside of the Wonton fight, where you're able to go ahead and proc your ASC, hit them real quick as you're walking in, and you'll be able to start up the fight while you're throwing out Hunter-Seekers and get the ball rolling. Works out very, very well. So let's talk about our shield real quick. So this shield, the Big Boom Blaster, is going to allow you to not only get a little bit more sustain from your shield from the boosters, but it's going to also bring back a little bit of your grenade ammo, which is nice to be able to keep those grenades flowing and doing a whole lot of DPS with that. Works out very well. We have the Radiation ASC on this setup. Radiation I found worked out better for me inside of this particular build because of the added addition of the explosion, which is a cool little extra element of AoE. Really, that's really what it comes down to. Works out very well. So, Corrosive Hunter-Seeker in conjunction with a Flesh Melter. Now, the Flesh Melter is something that you really don't want to run in conjunction with a different element, because there is a situation where the other element will end up killing off the enemy and you won't get the stack of corrosive. But inside this build, since we're killing out, or since we're popping a whole lot of enemies at the same time as the AoE clear, I didn't really feel like I was losing out on too much damage at all from running this. The main issue with just being straight corrosive is pretty much exclusive to the Maliwan Takedown 4-player scaling variation. Because of the immune enemies over there inside that situation, sometimes you run into one which would be okay. You get this Iron Cannon them and get them out the way. But there are other instances where I ran into about 4 inside of the Wonton fight. And inside of that, it becomes a little choppy and it doesn't really flow that well. And when you're not actually hitting the enemy in terms of like the DPS and it shows immune, you're not going to get back your head count procs, you're not going to get back your leave no trace procs, and it's going to make the overall flow of the build like kind of crumble. And adding radiation to the mix was able to help the build just flow even better inside of the scaled up Maliwan Takedown. You can still do your thing with just straight corrosive outside of this particular variation, but I like this slight remix to the overall Hawk Pack Flak build. Auto idle is cool for this. Flesh Melter is nice. You can also run the cryo setup of this build. Just run a cryo, Mitosis Hunter-Seeker or Colonial Hunter-Seeker in conjunction with an Icebreaker, 50 Rush, or Auto idle. You have a lot of options for this build. You can play around with it. End up clearing the true Maliwan Takedown a couple times with this setup, as well as just a straight level 50 thing with no upgrades at all. And so works out well, and you really don't have to worry about farming a whole slew of new things if you do have really good artifacts already. The percentage differences aren't really that vast, but in min-maxing over time, you end up getting the rest of the stuff. So Rakk Pack is fantastic because this in conjunction with our Falconer's Feast, and in conjunction with our Falconer's Feast as well as Flock and Load, we're going to go ahead and be able to throw out 4 racks, and those are going to go ahead and hit multiple targets and explode into a total of 12 racks is what we're going to have. And each of those racks is going to bring back 7% of our HP, giving us back a total of 84% of our HP, which is fantastic with the Rakk Pack. And this has critical damage on it in terms of the weapon critical damage as well as Jacob's weapon critical damage, which both end up boosting up our Hunter-Seeker when we have the Jacobs out. If you don't have the Jacobs out at the time, the Hunter-Seeker isn't going to end up getting that critical hit damage. These were the only things that we found that boosted up the quote-unquote gun damage portion of the Hunter-Seeker. Other things such as Splash just work on the last little bit. Grenade damage ends up working out on the last little bit. And other things weren't really helping us in terms of the substats, unfortunately. But we ended up testing everything, actually. I don't know if they ended up testing like reload speed and all this other little stuff just to check if we can make the Hunter-Seekers a little bit better. That's just give a cooldown rate, just help out, make things a little bit smoother in terms of throwing out these racks. I like having cooldown rate inside this slot, or you can have some like damage reduction, health regeneration as well, make yourself a little bit more bulky. Alright, so we're going to wrap up with the skill tree real quick. With those 3 additional points, we put 3 points into Leave No Trace. We took 1 out of head count, found that the consistency was more than enough, with head count being at +4, for us to have our racks up 100% of the time, and having Leave No Trace at 3 allows us to have a nice like fluid flow of combat when it comes to swapping over to the hive, making sure that we get ammo back before we end up swapping off the hive, so that way everything is just smooth and not clunky. And let's just see the blue tree real quick. And we just put 1 of our additional points for level 53 into pack tactics, so that way we're able to get a bit more damage as well as more maximum HP. For those that were unfamiliar with the build, quick rundown of it is basically we're just stacking all of the generic damage sources that we can, because the Hunter Seekers don't actually get boosted up by gun damage. So anything that is just generic damage is what we actually want to go ahead and grab. So Interplanetary Stalker, Hunter's Eye, of course. Big Game ends up boosting the hunt skills or the hunter skills. Most Dangerous Game ends up getting boosted up. Galactic Shadow ends up boosting up the crit. And head count helps out with the racks, allows us to spam. Leave No Trace, of course, is for the hive. And Megavore just helps everything proc a little bit more. Additional source of crit, so that way we're able to do more damage with the Hunter Seekers, with the hive. And the Hunter Seekers end up proccing Leave No Trace, head count, and Megavore. And Megavore is one of the things that the Hunter Seeker procs that other grenades do not. So I just wanted to highlight Ambush Predator real quick. It will end up boosting your critical hits as long as you are 10 meters away from your enemies. I have some pictures pop up that show you the general range of how far you need to be in order to capitalize on the skill. Works out well on this setup because we're not really changing up our gameplay too much. We don't have to aim. We barely have to play the game. And if we do position a little bit further away, we'll go ahead and be able to capitalize on the skill to the best of his ability, really. Works out well inside the setup. And then for the blue tree, same situation. Gun damage, ironically, is what we end up starting off with. Gun damage helps out the hive a little bit. 2 points ferocity. Who Rescue Who is a little bit of sustain. Make sure you have 1 point to heat bite, so that way the reflection is able to stack frenzy for you. Frenzy, just core damage, gives you a, well, general damage, gives you a lot of DPS for your Hunter Seekers, as well as your hive. The Barbaric Yop in combination with the, this game is completely fixed. The Barbaric Yop in combination with the Spyran Scorcher is going to give you that 30% elemental damage boost, which is going to be huge. And also some nice HP regeneration. And then, once again, pack tactics, max that out, HP damage. And for our augments real quick, we have Flock and Load. That's going to go ahead and give you 2 additional racks. So that you're going to be throwing out 4 of these bad boys. And then Falconer's Feast is going to give you back 7% per rack that you end up throwing out. Because we have the Rakk Pack class mod, like we mentioned a bit earlier, that's going to give us back a whole lot of HP at 84%, which we covered a little bit earlier, but you know, never bad to have a little bit of repetition to put inside of the good old memory organ called the brain. Alright, so that's it for the skill tree. That's it for the build. The rest of this build video is just the run of the Maliwan Takedown, the true Maliwan Takedown mode, Maliwan Takedown, which is the 4-player scaled variation, and just a smooth little run. It's not too bad. It's an okay run. Cool build. May not be the fastest clearing one, but it is a unique variation that clears at a relatively good speed. It's comparable to a handful of other Flak builds that are towards the top. Cool. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And I'm out of here. Peace.
Intel says there's an elevator down to the lower levels. Make your way there and be ready for some heavy resistance. I'm counting on you, Vault Hunter.
Place is supposed to be secure! Clear out these racks! Deal with these! Accelerating! Another! More! Rack's up my sleeve. Go for the eyes! Weak. All of you are weak! I will see you again, Valkyries, when the death song begins to sing.
Those are advanced mechs, but we're after something bigger. Keep going.
Distract them! Pocket Rakk! You there! Pocket Rakk! Distract them! Takes all! Swoop and tear! Pocket rat!
Now that is definitely your target! Light that giant bastard up!
My girl is down! The chaos! A titanic takedown.
Brilliant work, Vault Hunter! That ass kicking will make Maliwan think twice before they come at us again.